Thank you for the introduction. As we all know, the topic of climate change is a critical one and has never been as important as it is now. Climate change has increased the level of uncertainty about the future, especially for today's youth. We're the ones who are going to face its consequences. However, young people are not only victims of climate change, we're also valuable contributors to climate action. Today, young people are scaling up their efforts and using their skills to be agents of change. As a young climate advocate myself, I'm super excited to have a conversation with Hanan on how we can inspire today's youth to tackle climate change. So, first of all, I would like to ask you, Hanan, how are you inspiring the current generation to tackle climate change?
Thank you, Afrah, for having me here today. It's my pleasure to talk to you about why youth can and must take action against climate change, even if it means taking small actions that will make these changes within their personal lives that will have a significant impact. Let me just start by sharing with you a piece of information that I came across recently. So at the moment, the concentration of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is the highest that it has been in human history. Let that sink in for a second. So the concentration of carbon dioxide has been the highest in human history. The climate crisis is not just about what is happening now, but it's also about what else will happen if we don't take action in the near future. And this just means that the youth today have much more at stake to be invested in taking a stance on climate change. So studies are showing that millennials and Gen Z are worried about a couple of different global issues, including climate change. So a study by Edelman shows that 9 in 10 millennials and Gen Z are concerned about the human causes of climate change. And another study by a UK survey researchers that surveys young people shows that the levels of anxiety among young people because of on topics like climate change has been rising. So 60% of young people are extremely worried about about the climate change. Now, I want to stress the importance that tackling this issue is not just with words. It's all about action. And I believe that youth need to be in the driving seat. And if we don't talk about it, this is a huge missed opportunity for the next generation. There is power in numbers. Youth today represent 16% of our global population. So there are about 1.2 young people between the ages of 15 and 24. Having the youth actively engaged in climate change and sustainability is absolutely critical. And I'm confident that the young people today will take control and make their voices heard. And this brings me to a very important message for everyone. It's really about differences and actions that you are taking as an individual. You don't really have to wait to hear from society to tell you really what to do. And climate change is not an issue that's happening somewhere far away. This is something that impacts every single one of us. We are all here involved in this issue. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether it's your carbon footprint or your neighbors or mine. Everyone's global footprint is contributing towards this global crisis. Now, here in the UAE, we are blessed to be living and working and studying in a country that is taking climate change and the future of our planet so seriously. So UAE is leading the efforts regionally in tackling climate change. I'm sure you know that the UAE is the first country in the region to pledge net zero by 2050. The country also committed to invest over $160 billion in clean and renewable energy projects by 2050. 15 years ago, long before climate change was a mainstream topic, Mubadala, the company where I work, established Masdar, our hosts today. And that was because of their long-term vision and strong conviction that this was the right thing to do. And today, Masdar has established itself as an integral part of the global efforts to advance the energy transition towards a lower carbon world. The UAE's commitments is also seen through our selection to host COP28 in 2023. And this is a huge opportunity to really raise the bar on the global conversation around climate change.
Thank you, Hanan. That's incredibly inspiring. My next question is, what message do you have for the future generations that will need to work even harder to prevent climate change?
I think I want to leave a message for the next generation and for those who are watching this panel, that there's a big difference between thoughtless acts and conscious decisions. So, will we continue to commit thoughtless acts that inevitably will have a negative long-term impact on our society? Or will we commit to making a conscious decisions to take small steps to really play our parts in preventing climate change? Now, it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be giant. I'm not asking you to trade in your cars and start biking everywhere. What I'm saying is there are small changes that you can make that can make a huge difference. Let me just start by saying, first of all, educate yourself. Understand what the issue is, research the topic, and get to know what the organizations around you are doing and get involved in that. Another thing that you can do is carpool. So whether you're going to work, to school, or just hanging out with your friends, try to share a ride as much as you can. Now, not only is that an environmentally a better option, but it's also better for you economically. The other thing that you can do is plan your meals. So think about minimizing waste. Think about if you can buy local produce as much as you can. And then another thing that you can do is shop more consciously. The fashion industry, unfortunately, is known for being environmentally very damaging. So think about how you can be a more eco-friendly shopper. And then finally, I would say spread the word. So use your networks, use your platforms, and join forces with others to make a difference. To me, this is how I'm choosing to make a difference. If you just think about the drop in temperatures when people stopped traveling between 2019 and 2020, it just makes you realize that there's so much that we can do at an individual level to impact climate change. Now, we need to remember that this is not just about the Earth today, right? So this is about the Earth that we're leaving for future generations. Would you want your children to be born in a world that they can't really live in or not enjoy the beauty that we get to enjoy and see? Would you want to be raised on that kind of a planet?
I love that. Thank you so much. That's super inspiring. Small and thoughtful actions all the way. And that brings us to the end of our session. Unfortunately, I could talk with you forever though. Thank you so much, Hanan, for your time and for sharing your insights with us. Thank you to our audience for having us today. And it's a pleasure to be a part of this wonderful forum. Stay safe, everyone.